start recording. It's not recording any screen, but it is recording my audio. Please talk for me. Yep, that's good. Alright. And I thought our audio sounded pretty much fine.
Cool. Hopefully so. Who got
it? Okay. Welcome to the first episode of Quarter Twins.
Oh boy.
Woo, 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 woo. This
We're
is
doing
not
a podcast.
Yeah, we're doing a podcast. This is definitely not the first time we tried to record this.
We recorded a whole episode.
Well, we didn't even finish the whole episode.
Nope. We talked for how long?
An hour and a half.
An hour and a half? Yeah.
It captured about 40 minutes. And the last 5
we
minutes...
didn't even...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the video, we were trying to do face cam stuff. It didn't work. My poor little laptop is trying as hard as he can. It's just not going to work. So in a few months, when I get my big baddie bo baddie desktop... Big baddie bo baddie.
Oh, big baddie bo baddie desktop.
Calling him Beaker and Minkus. Oh!
Beaker and Minkus! Oh, man. Inside
Callback.
jokes.
Beaker and
Man,
Minkus.
we have inside jokes.
Mm-hmm. Why do we have inside jokes? Because we're cousins.
We're cousins. I'm
but
Jordan.
Even more, this is Jordan. I'm
Hi.
Joshua. Why are we quarter twins, Jordan?
Why is this thing called Quarter Twins? Glad you asked. Well, we're cousins. Our moms are twin sisters.
Uh-huh.
And that means that they are 50%, 100% exactly the same person.
Yes.
And by default, since Joshua and I are their offspring,
uh-huh,
that makes us 25%, 100% exactly the same. So we are one quarter twins. Yep. Welcome to Quarter Twins.
Welcome to Quarter Twins.
Roll the music.
Okay. That was great. That was perfect.
That was better than the first one.
It probably was, even though it was. Okay. And the intro has played, and we're laughing, and we're having fun, and we're giggling, and everything's so great. And today, he's drinking more water. But
I drink too much water. It's my security blanket.
We are. Yeah, you can hide your face. You know, I gotta shave. Good lord. But there is no proof
audio
of that
only,
because
baby.
This is audio only because we're giving up on trying to be cool. Yeah, I'm wearing a lame t-shirt. Actually, this is a great t-shirt. I love this t-shirt. Okay. Today, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the post-intro part of the podcast. We are talking about Star Wars.
We love Star Wars.
We really do. We love it so much, we're going to re-record this podcast just so we can talk about Star Wars for even more.
All 11 movies again.
Yep.
We haven't talked about our top 2 yet, so...
That's true,
we have that
but they're the same.
Look forward to.
Probably.
Probably the same. I don't know.
So we're just going to rattle off here. Not like we're skipping content.
No.
And I do still have a lot to say about Last Jedi when we get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. We're going to go a little bit quicker because I think we rambled a little bit.
We did ramble a lot.
We're both prone to rambling.
Yeah.
So
we have a lot to say. We're very passionate. When we talk about one movie for a whole podcast, then we can really get into the nitty-gritty.
Really get into the nitty-gritty. The baddie bo baddie.
The baddie bo baddie. Ooh! That's where the real content lies. This is just something me and Jordan can do that we feel very comfortable with. Talking about Star Wars, we have a lot of the same opinions, so there won't be too much, I disagree, you know?
There's a little bit of that, but not too much.
Yeah. So we'll probably, we'll punch each other in the face at some point here. No, just kidding.
It hasn't happened yet in our 21, 22 years, 23 years of
almost
life.
Almost 23.
So
hey,
we'll have to punch each other in the face eventually.
Yeah,
just has to happen.
I don't know if I've ever been punched in the face, to be honest.
I don't think I have.
Some sort of a rite of initiation, perhaps. That we
Speaking
have to get
of speaking of getting punched in the face.
Oh.
Number 11 on our list. A big punch to the face.
Oh, a punch to everywhere.
Yeah. The Rise of Skywalker.
The
Let's
Rise
just get right
of Skywalker.
It's bad. It's a bad movie, I think.
It's pretty bad.
Poorly
written, poorly edited, poorly paced, poorly...
It looks good. I'll give it that.
It doesn't look too bad. I like the Force dyad stuff with Kylo Ren and Rey. I like
Just
that
give us
Ben Solo comes back.
Try to give like the quickest. Let's try to give like the quickest summary of each movie that we can. Just like baseline bullet points
of what happens.
The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah.
Okay. The Emperor is back.
Yep. Somehow he returned.
Then the Emperor is gone. How's that?
All the Sith, all the Jedi, in between, Finn is in it, kind of. Poe is in it, kind of.
Finn gets his third love interest, which is fun for him.
Oh my goodness, I totally forgot about that character. That's a character in the movie. Yeah, I don't know her name. Lando's daughter?
Potentially.
Maybe.
Who cares? It doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't matter at all.
Because I don't care about that character at all.
In the Disney sequel trilogy directed by J.J. Abrams.
Shout out J.J. Come on the podcast.
Come on the podcast, please. It was a response to The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi was not received very well by a lot of people. Actually,
idiots, I would say.
If we're being honest, most of us normal people in the world were like, "This movie's great, The Last Jedi." But the very loud people on Twitter and all of that were very upset about it and wanted to kill Rian Johnson for ruining their childhood.
What's up with that? So, anyway,
in order to make people happy, Disney decided to bring JJ back on and make this movie.
And take Rian Johnson's trilogy away.
Yeah. And this is the movie we got. And it's, I have written here that it is a movie that's so soulless that it makes me feel numb and feel nothing about anything. Except when I saw it, I wanted to punch Joshua in the face. No, I didn't.
Wow.
But I wanted to punch somebody in the face.
Here's the best part of the whole movie. Is when Rey turns her lightsaber on and it's yellow. That's the best part of the whole film.
Is it, though?
I think it's great.
The whole Rey Skywalker thing...
Well, yeah, that's terrible.
...is just off. We didn't talk about that the first time we recorded this.
And we talked a lot.
She goes, I'm Rey Skywalker. No, she's not.
She is Rey, unknown. And we'll talk about that. I'll talk about that. In nauseum.
Yeah, when we get up to the Last Jedi.
When we get to the Last Jedi, how much better Rey is in that movie.
I just don't understand how she is a Skywalker, because she is romantically involved with the last Skywalker, right?
Yeah. But they're not married.
If I'm writing this movie called The Rise of Skywalker, it could be a movie about. Basically about Kylo Ren and him, Ben Solo, rising to the name of Skywalker, right? That's what the movie's kind of about. But then at the end, he dies, and she's like, I'm the last Skywalker. I'm the rising Skywalker.
I am the rising Skywalker.
How? And why? We don't know. We'll never know.
It's not worth it.
It's a bad movie.
There's some good music in that movie, though.
Really good music.
John Williams.
John Williams, come on the podcast. Please.
Yeah, okay, so Rise of the Skywalker is bad. Has some redeemable pieces. It is both of our worst spot. Right here on the left hand of the screen, Joshua, editing this later, I'm going to put both of our rankings with cute little acronyms, because our faces aren't on the screen anymore, so we can have the rankings on there. I thought about that in bed last night. All right.
Could we verify that we are recording?
I did just a minute ago, actually. We are.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure, 100% sure. All right, that's our number 11. I don't really want to talk about The Rise of Skywalker anymore.
Yeah, we're done with that.
It's not a great time. I watch it occasionally because I find it pretty baffling and fun to watch to just see how terrible it is.
I have only seen
Chewbacca
it one
dies
time
and then doesn't die. And,
in the theater.
I'm
with
really
Jordan
surprised I've
here.
only seen it one time.
Yep. And I don't really remember much of it.
That's really impressive.
I kind of liked the Darth Ray stuff with the fangs. I thought that was fun. But it amounted to nothing. So, next worst or next best.
This part of the show isn't as fun, if we're being honest.
I'm honestly, like, my energy level is lower. I'm like, we're really going to talk about this again.
Oh my gosh. I said this the first time. I want to say this again. Here's the thing about Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
They're not great movies, the vast majority of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's 11 of these main Star Wars movies, and most of them are not very good movies.
They're not that great.
No, they're not good. And that's the thing about Star Wars, is there's something strange and magical about the first movie that George created, and the second and third that he made first. The first movie being one of, if not the most culturally impactful blockbusters of all time.
Exactly.
Something that he created up top that we all fell in love with that keeps us watching these terrible, terrible films. And
these sellout cash grab garbo
movies. They're doing better. I think they're doing well now.
Yeah,
Although we can talk about Boba Fett later. I think it's okay, but
yeah, I like Boba
Mandalorian is fantastic.
But yeah,
anyway,
good.
All that being said, what's our number 10, Joshua?
Dude, surprisingly, just to no one, Attack of the Clones is the next worst movie.
Of course it is. It's a bad movie.
It's overall probably, I mean, okay, I've only seen Rise of Skywalker once, so I can't really speak to how unfun it is to watch. But I genuinely, I don't think I would be able to sit through Attack of the Clones.
I never want to watch it.
Yeah.
There are days that I'm like, I could watch The Rise of Skywalker right now and have a good time. I never want to watch Attack of the Clones. By myself, anyway.
Sure. If you have somebody to make fun of it with, then it's a great time.
Yeah, because there are some bright spots in there. There are some good, like we talked about the first time we recorded this first episode. There are some really fun moments, like the arena sequence where they are Padme, Anakin, and Obi-Wan are imprisoned by Count Dooku
on the Geonosian homeworld.
Yeah,
we really like that because they are without lightsabers and they have to they're at this lower level and they have to really figure out how to get out of a situation with less than what they're normally what is normally available to them.
Yeah.
And I really like it when stories strip characters down to their bare bones and force them to be, yes, of course, and force them to figure it out. That's why I like Iron Man 3.
Shout out Iron Man 3.
Shout out Iron Man 3. Robert Downey Jr., come on the podcast.
Come on the podcast. He'd be fun to have on the podcast.
That would be a fun podcast. We talk about Dr. Dolittle.
Oh, goodness.
I haven't seen that movie. I'm so sorry.
Me neither. We should also, I don't know if you want to edit this into another part of the podcast, but we should also say that we grew up watching the prequels.
Yes. We are...
As kiddos.
We are Gen Z / millennials, right on the border. I've looked it up many times. Yeah. There's so many different descriptions, but I like to think that we're in between.
Oh, you're such a millennial. Other people are like, oh, you're so Gen Z.
I am older than my Game Boy Advance SP. That makes me happy. But I'm younger than my Game Boy Color. There you go. So I find that nice little in-between.
That's a good in-between.
Or my Nintendo 64. Shout out Nintendo. Come on the podcast. So yeah, we like the prequels because they're nostalgic to us.
They are super nostalgic.
Just as nostalgic as as the original trilogy, because I kind of watched them all at the same time growing up.
Yeah.
And so they have that same level of power to them.
Yeah. I think I watched Attack of the Clones probably the most out of all of them, as a kid anyway.
Right. I feel like I can safely say that I've watched all of the Star Wars movies except for the newer 3 of the Skywalker trilogy and Rogue One and Solo, I guess. But like the first 6, I've seen them all like 100 times. Yeah. Because they're amazing, and I couldn't get enough of them as growing up.
They're so good.
Yeah, even Phantom Menace, which we'll talk about later, which feels like eons. Do you want to talk about Phantom Menace? It's your next worst one.
Yeah, let's talk about Phantom Menace, number 9. The Phantom Menace.
Number 9.
Yeah, oh, that's right. It's not your number 9.
It's not my number 9.
My number 9, yeah, it's the Phantom Menace. I think, like I said the first time, the thing that really keeps me from going back to the Phantom Menace is just the way it looks. It's just hard to look at. Yeah. It's just like for 1999, I'm sure it was very, very good and, so what I'm looking for,
technically.
Yeah,
amazing.
Technically proficient.
Yeah, I think something I didn't say last time, just to be new and fresh and cool.
Yep.
George Lucas always gets the most out of whatever technology he has available to him at the time that he's making a movie. Whether it's the practical models that he used in the first 3 movies, or the CGI and the technical stuff in the episode 3. Not as much in episode 1, where everything looks
really
super
uses
sterile.
Those green screens.
Yeah, the blue screens even.
Blue screens, yes.
Yeah,
Colorblind.
so they're... I'm so sorry. You're red-green colorblind. You should be able to tell what blue is.
That's 100% true.
Whoa. But that part is not in my 25%. I'm not colorblind. I think for Phantom Menace, he had still like somewhat limited technology, and he does a pretty good job at creating, like, especially the pod race, I think actually looks really good, because it's like a good mix of practical and CGI effects, and I think that is a really well made sequence. But yeah, walking around the Jedi Temple, or like out in Naboo even, doesn't like Naboo. I think that forest is real, and it doesn't feel real,
right?
Even somehow.
And I think that goes to the point of George. You know, the prequels are bad movies, but he made the movies that he wanted to make, and he created the environments that he wanted to create. Everything you see in those movies is exactly what he wanted it to be. And
right.
It's the vision of a creator, which is why Rise of Skywalker is at the bottom of our list. Because is Rise of Skywalker, does it look
It's not a passion
bad?
Project.
It looks great. It has better acting, better writing, better visual effects, but there's no heart to it. There's no creative choices being made. It's purely a let's just make this movie. Hopefully they'll be happy with it, and hopefully we'll make a lot of money.
Right. And let's reverse all of our decisions we let Rian Johnson make in episode 8.
Oh my gosh, we'll get to that.
Okay.
So what's your number 9?
My number 9, much to the chagrin of people my age, is Revenge of the Sith. One of my roommates has Revenge of the Sith at number 1. It's an absolute blasphemy, in my opinion.
I don't understand those
people. That is outrageous to me.
That's the shift that happened when Rise of Skywalker came out. Once Rise of Skywalker came out, people were like, the prequels are a godsend. They're the best movies. They're the best Star Wars movies. You all are dumb for not liking them. They're the best.
George Lucas is God incarnate.
That's right.
I don't think so.
No.
I think Revenge of the Sith suffers greatly from... I don't know if it would be pacing, but like the turn that Anakin makes to the dark side is like a 90-degree.
Yeah.
It feels like a completely out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, but like too fast for his character.
Yeah. It doesn't flow with the other events that happen in that movie.
Right.
It doesn't flow naturally, is what I'm saying.
So, like, I brought up last time how he kills Count Dooku at the beginning of the movie, but then he sees the actual big bad, and he's like, he must stand trial. This guy will kill us given the chance, but let's let him stand trial. He created a war so that he could completely take over the Republic. Let's have him stand trial against the Republic that he controls. You know, and I'm not trying to justify the death penalty or anything here, but, you know, Mace Windu was onto something when he said he was a little too dangerous to be kept alive, maybe.
Because he is a little bit too dangerous to be kept alive.
He's crazy business. And, you know, even if you kill him, he's not actually dead.
Apparently.
We didn't talk about that at the beginning with Rise of Skywalker, but
explodes.
It's absolutely horrendous that the Emperor
can be said
back.
that hasn't already been said?
Yeah, that's terrible.
Terrible choice.
So, I talked about it a little bit, but Anakin's shift to the dark side without Star Wars The Clone Wars, shout out Star Wars The Clone Wars, Dave Filoni, come on the show. We have, like, Anakin's fear of Padme dying and his mother dying. That's all we have of Anakin being this angry, evil guy. Maybe at the end of episode 2 when Padme falls off the gunship, there's a little bit of anger there as well, and like wanting to leave the Jedi Order. But he, like, in the Clone Wars specifically, there are so many events, I can't even count them all, where he is forced to create these, like, or not create, but like choose these darker paths to get what he wants, whether it's keeping Padme around, or saving Ahsoka's life, or, you know...
He's just straight up killing people in that show.
He just kills people.
Shoving his lightsaber through people's chests.
Yeah.
All the time. He's a crazy person.
He is a psychopath. And we don't see any of that in the movies. So when I watched Revenge of the Sith for the first time, to be quite frank, I was terrified. I was like 7 years old. I watched it in my mother's room with my parents, and I watched that first, like, Darth Vader's eyes turn red moment, and I was hiding under the covers for the rest of the movie. And I think that has slightly scarred me ever since, why it's lower than Phantom Menace on my list.
Yeah.
Because I think objectively it is a little bit better than Phantom Menace. I have issues with Phantom Menace, but I just think Revenge of the Sith is like, there isn't enough to make me believe that he would actually turn to the dark side on a whim like that. Straight to killing babies, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Because that's what he does.
He kills children.
That's a kid's movie for you.
Mm-hmm.
Killing the kids.
With the Googans.
So that's your number 9.
That's my number 9. Did we talk about Phantom Menace?
No. Did we? No.
Probably not. But let's talk about it. If we did, I'll figure that out. I don't think we did.
That's my number 9. Is the Phantom Menace.
And it's my number 8.
That's right. Yes.
Phantom Menace is good.
It's a fun movie, I think.
Yeah. I think the biggest problem with it is that it feels like it's super long. Whatever pacing issues they have is bad. And part of that, I think, too, comes from our childhood sensibilities trying to figure out what is going on with this deep political plot with these trade sanctions and all this extra blockades. Like, I don't care about any of that.
Yeah. What is so Palpatine's plan in that movie? I mean, it's like the weirdest, most complicated political
just
discourse.
To get himself elected chancellor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. I don't know. We did talk about pod races, though, and how you don't how clean it is.
I talked about the visual effects of it all.
I
think we probably covered it.
Yeah, Phantom Menace is good, but not that good.
Yeah. So, yeah. My number 9 is Phantom Menace. Your number 9 was Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. Your number 8 was Revenge of the Sith, and my number 8 was Phantom Menace.
Your number 8 was Phantom Menace. My number 8 is Return of the Jedi.
Oh, actually. Right. Hot take alert.
Put it on the screen. Put our lists on the screen.
Yeah, it's there. It's piping hot.
My hot take of the day is Return of the Jedi being below Revenge of the Sith.
Tell me about it.
And it's really only because Return of the Jedi makes me fall asleep. I don't know really what happens in that movie other than the beginning and the end.
Whatever happened in the middle is a mystery to me.
Yeah, I can't remember because I think I fall asleep every time. I think it's really just a symptom of it being the third movie in a franchise and George Lucas having a little bit more creative control. Because when we talk about Empire Strikes Back, which is much higher on the list, I'm sure.
Much higher.
Empire wasn't even directed by George Lucas. A lot of people don't know that. It's a little factoid.
Yeah, boom. Facts.
But Return of the Jedi was much more a George Lucas project, and I think it's a little bit of a warning for what's to come.
Yeah.
From George Lucas' creativity.
He's like started to get some cool technology, and he was like, all right, visuals. That is all I care about.
I don't want to make it sound like Return of the Jedi is bad, because it's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's very iconic, and I think it is a very solid conclusion to his first trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I know he made the first movie not really knowing if he was going to ever make a sequel, but I think he made a trilogy that holds together very well, and then the story of a boy growing up to fight his evil father, I think he turned that into something really interesting that could otherwise be really, I don't know, annoying.
And you look at the context of the sixth movie with at least the first 6 movies total. Mm-hmm. I think Darth Vader's redemption is really powerful. And if you include Clone Wars, shout out Clone Wars, it is even better. Because, again, how much more time we get to spend with Anakin and Obi-Wan and their brotherhood, and how much Anakin cares about family. That's like a big piece to him.
The core of the first 6 movies of Anakin being the chosen one, I think that idea carried throughout all those 6 movies is executed very well, and
totally agree.
Is potentially ruined by a movie called The Rise of Skywalker. We talked about it.
Oh, we already talked about it.
But yeah, I mean, I have huge respect for George Lucas for creating, a story that runs 6 movies and is really well thought out in the world building that he created.
Mm-hmm.
I think Return of the Jedi is really good, but
not as good as
it's not my go-to.
Sure. And as much as you want it to be, because it's like the climactic finale of the first 6 films, it's still like, I'd watch the last half hour. But I wouldn't watch the whole movie, because the rest of the movie doesn't really feel like it needs to even be there at times. Yeah. So that's a little bit of an issue I definitely have with that movie. But I think it is better than my number 7.
Yep.
Rogue One. The first offshoot kind of Star Wars story movies of the 2. Right off the bat, Gareth Edwards, come on the podcast, tell you how they did it. It's the best looking Star Wars movie to date.
And it's not even really close.
It really isn't. I kind of think Last Jedi looks good. There's a lot of color palette stuff that makes Last Jedi look better.
The color of Last Jedi is really cool, but just the scope of Rogue One is unmatched.
A lot of different locations. The clarity of the CGI is unmatched.
Yeah. There's some shots of the Death Star that just blow my mind every time I watch the movie.
The first time they have like that shadow come around the Star Destroyer. Woo!
Oh, it's so good, dude.
That is special. Yeah, shout out Gareth Edwards holding the camera, unlike George Lucas sitting in the chair. We love you, George. You created us. Well, that's not accurate. He did not create us.
My Lord Savior, George Lucas.
We would not be the same without him. But
that is true.
He did not make us. No. He made a story that made us.
25% George Lucas. That's us.
We're quarter twins with George.
This is our dad.
George Lucas is our father. No, he's not, but he was very influential in our youth and creating our personalities, more or less. We are big sci-fi fans thanks to him, I would say.
I think so.
And thanks to our dads, probably. At least my dad was a big Star Wars fan.
Sure. My dad, too. Stargate fans, for sure.
Stargate, Unite. Battlestar Galactica, all that good stuff. They're nerds. Oh, I heard a purr.
It's my cat Goose. He's very happy.
It is a ginger cat named Goose, not at all related to Captain Marvel.
Or Top Gun. Don't even ask.
So I was talking about how Rogue One was just so gorgeous.
Yeah.
But
why don't we like it?
My big gripe with that film, and I do like to call it a film.
That's right, because we're fancy film boys.
We're fancy film boys, baddie bo baddies. I think that for everything it has in visuals, it lacks in characters.
Ooh, that's a good soundbite.
Booyah. Put that on the TikTok. Shout out TikTok. Come on the podcast.
I ruined the soundbite with
ooh. But seriously, folks. I like going out of the theater immediately after watching it for the first time. I couldn't tell you a single character's name except for maybe Jin.
Yeah. And even Cassian, I don't think I would have been able to remember his name.
And I look back on it now. I've seen it like 10, 20 times, whatever. I can tell you a couple of the characters' names, but I still don't know the blind guy's friend's name. Or
I couldn't tell you.
I want to say it's like Blaze or something.
That sounds like Star Wars.
Baze, maybe? I don't. But like, that could literally be.
Sounds right.
Yeah, Baze. I don't know. Maybe it is.
Let me just look these up real quick.
He's gonna Google it. But yeah, the movie just seriously lacks character development, and I think it's largely due to the fact that they knew all the characters would be dead by the end of the movie. So they were we don't need to actually put any effort into this because no one's going to care about these characters in a week. Which is true. But it's not because the movie was bad, it's because the characters weren't characters. You know?
Yeah.
None of them had like an actual character arc, it felt like. And like you could say that Cassian has one and like cares more about the lives of the people he's fighting for. But even then it's like I don't know if that's really true. So that movie just has a big issue for me with the lack of character development.
Let me read you these names real quick.
Okay, hit me.
So Donnie Yen plays, you're right, Chirrut Imwe.
Chirrut. Okay.
His friend, Baze Malbus.
It was Baze. I'm awesome. Okay. I don't know where that came from that I just remembered that, but...
Ben Mendelsohn bringing the director Orson Krennic. I forgot about him completely.
He is a great
I do like his character.
As much as I don't like all the characters, he's a pretty good character. Probably the best one.
Oh, we didn't talk about Grand Moff Tarkin is in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
As a CGI man.
I honestly didn't hate that.
I didn't hate it. I honestly probably didn't even notice the first time I saw it because I didn't know he was not still alive. So
yeah,
I mean,
the Princess Leia one wasn't as good.
Nope.
But that's
we didn't talk about Saw Gerrera.
Oh yeah.
Jin.
I will run no longer. Yeah.
Jin, save the rebellion. Save the dream.
Go! Save the dream.
Go!
Yeah. I don't know, Forrest Whitaker's an amazing actor, but
he's so good.
that is not his best role. And I
think man,
part of it
Riz
is
Ahmed's character.
The pilot. I am the pilot.
Bodhi Rook.
Bodhi? I've never heard that in my entire life.
I've never heard that in my life. Oh,
what is Mads Mikkelsen's name? Something Urso.
Galen,
I guess. But yeah, the point is, we had to Google almost all of those names, and that speaks volumes about how poor the movie's overall character development was. Boom. The movie is good, but also the movie is bad.
It looks so good, and the Scarif sequence is so fun. Has some really great stuff in it.
That's true, yeah.
The Darth Vader scene, one of the best Star Wars scenes ever.
Yeah, they bring it all together right there at the end.
It's incredible.
Launch! You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the music comes in, and it's terrifying, and you really feel the fear. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Those guys were freaking out.
Yeah, it's a lot of times you have Jedi fighting Sith, and the power scaling doesn't feel they don't feel like there's a difference between the two. Mm-hmm. But then when you watch guys with little laser blasters and chin straps try to kill this guy, they're they stop shooting after a while, because they're I'm dead.
They're like, it's not worth it.
Yeah, which I like. I think that's pretty gnarly. And then he stands in open space in a vacuum and continues to breathe, which is pretty cool.
He's incredible.
Shout out Last Jedi when Carrie Fisher did the same thing.
She did a little bit more than just stand there. She flew.
Yeah.
Like a Superman.
Okay.
So I think that brings us to our top 5.
I think it does. So you have... Oh no, we both have this movie at number 5. Our number 5 is... Or my number 6 is Return of the Jedi, by the way. We already talked about that, but yeah.
We talked about that.
So that's good. Our number 5's aligned here with The Force Awakens. Have you felt it? The Force Awakens. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's pretty good.
It was both of our... Well, it was definitely my first... the first Star Wars movie I was able to see in theaters, so it's very impactful for me as a young 15-year-old.
Wow. So impressionable.
Yeah. So it holds a lot of nostalgia for that, and it's a movie made with nostalgia in mind. Very nostalgic.
For sure. They gave J.J. Abrams the reins, and I think he did a pretty good job minimizing the amount of lens flares. Shout out Star Trek.
Love those movies too.
Good movies. I think he does a really good job creating characters and setting up future films, as well as bringing us back into the Star Wars universe with nostalgic characters, right? You have honestly one of my favorite Harrison Ford performances. I think he really does that character well, despite not wanting to be there at all.
Yeah.
But I think
they gave him a really satisfying conclusion.
Yeah. And Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the Han Solo's character arc in that movie works so well because it services Kylo Ren's character so well, and they work so well together. Mm-hmm. That being the moment that Kylo Ren, kills his father, and kind of cements in him the path that he's on.
Right.
I think that was a great setup for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Using the older characters to facilitate the newer characters.
Yeah.
is a really cool way to do it. And I think The Last Jedi does it really well, but we'll talk about that later. Shout out Mark Hamill not liking Luke Skywalker. Come on the podcast.
Come on the podcast, Mark.
Yeah, we'd love to have a chat with you about that.
We would. Yeah.
But yeah, Phantom Menace. The Force Awakens. Good grief. We already talked about Phantom Menace. Okay. I have I wouldn't say it's a huge gripe, but definitely like a low point why it's number 5 and not any higher.
Yeah.
Is that on repeat watchings, every time I've watched it, it's felt a little less good. I don't know if there's a specific reason for that.
Yeah.
But like for me, the replayability is just lacking. I can't really even pinpoint it. If it's just like, oh, it's A New Hope, Redux, if it's just the beginning part isn't as fun. Like I like the character introductions of Finn and Rey, and to a lesser extent Poe. But then it feels like they kind of just speed run to the end, so we can have a fun finale. And the finale is really good, right? Probably my second favorite lightsaber fight after the Phantom Menace finale. Yeah, because it has a lot of raw emotion in it, which I really enjoy. And
yeah, I think for me that I kind of feel the same way, and I think what we'll get into later is just like after seeing the whole trilogy play out, there's just no reason. It sounds bad, but there's no reason to watch this trilogy together in a row because they don't mesh together in any sort of cohesive way, because there was no plan and they just did whatever they felt like in the moment, which with each movie.
Right.
So I think that on repeat watches, it's just I'm watching this one movie where it contained, it's pretty good, but I know that every question that I have doesn't really go anywhere. So what's even the point?
Right.
I don't know. It's a bummer for sure.
I
think the first movie he made, I think, set up some really good potential. Yeah.
And I think Rian Johnson took it in a way that we weren't expecting, and he was very intentional about that. If you watch like the behind the scenes stuff for Last Jedi, he was like, I'm going to do this and people are going to hate it. But then some people are really going to like it because it takes away all of that, like the importance of lineage that was kind of randomly super important to Star Wars fans ever since the Darth Vader reveal, which we'll talk about later. Which then they undid in the next film. So I think, J.J. Abrams kind of leapfrogged The Last Jedi was like, oh no, I didn't actually mean for you to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we could have a whole podcast about just the dynamic of the age that we're in, and I sound like an old man. The digital age that we're in. Where everyone has an opinion, as they always have, but now everybody can share it and be as loud as they want without any sort of guardrails. And we could talk all day about the impact that fans had on this trilogy, and oh man, just like how when the fan base has their expectations so high and they spend The Force Awakens came out 2015, The Last Jedi came out in 2017, and the fans had all that time in between to come up with our theories and our what we wanted to see and have our expectations so high, and talk about it for a year. And then when Last Jedi comes out and it's not what they expected, everything explodes.
Rian Johnson ruined my childhood.
Yeah. We're not even talking about The Last Jedi yet, but
oh yeah.
Goodness.
I'm willing to spend as much time as we've been talking right now on talking about The Last Jedi when we get there.
Oh gosh. But I think The Force Awakens we've talked about enough.
Yeah.
So our number 4 and our number 3 is where we diverge.
My number 4.
You go ahead.
Sorry. My number 4 is Solo, a Star Wars story.
Solo. My number 4 is The Last Jedi.
So I think we should talk about Solo first.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we can get into Last Jedi and spend a nice chunk in there before getting to the good ones.
The good stuff.
The actual
Batty Bobani or whatever it was.
Batty Bobatty. So Solo, to me, and I think you agree, which is why it's higher on your list than mine. Right. Solo is the most fun Star Wars movie to watch.
It's the most fun.
There's never there's never a dull moment when you're watching it. It genuinely feels like a fun sci-fi heist movie set in the Star Wars universe, which is just an automatic win. People don't like Childish Gambino as Lando. They think he's doing an impersonation, blah blah blah. I think love him. I think he's great. I think he does the character really well. I like that he mispronounces Han's name all the time. I think that Lando might still be this exuberant character in episode 5 and 6, but when he was younger, he's going to be even more that, which I think is why being almost an impersonation, as I say, kind of works, actually.
Yeah.
Because he's being like a more dilute, younger, arrogant version of himself. And I think it works great. Or like people have problems with Emilia Clarke's character because she doesn't come up again, but she's like Han's first great love.
Yeah.
And I think she's not going to come up again because she betrayed Han. And that's like a no-no. Right?
Yeah, he cut himself off from that part of his life.
Exactly. Like, that entire movie means nothing to him anymore. He is Solo. Right. He's going to do his own thing, but he got Chewie out of it, so he's, like, still happy to have him along.
Yeah. And I think Alden Ehrenreich, as we discussed earlier, it does a great Han Solo. I think he was really good in the movie. I don't know. I think he's really good at being that character and what a younger Han would be like.
And it's kind of an interesting, I don't know if I'm using this word right, but dichotomy, where we look at Childish Gambino, Donald Glover, and he's like a more dilute version of Lando, but Alden is like less Han than Han is in the future.
Yeah.
Because Han becomes more after the events of the movie. And like becomes this character to protect himself emotionally from other people outside of Chewbacca. And so in the first, like in Solo, he's a little bit more emotionally immature.
Yeah.
And like expects Amelia's character, I can't remember her name, expects her to just immediately jump back into his arms after like, however many years he was in the army and she was being coerced by Maul to do random stuff for the Crimson Dawn. And so I kind of like that he is not doing an impersonation of Harrison Ford. It's cool because they are doing the opposite of each other, but it still works.
Right.
So.
Yeah. It's just really, it's a fun movie. Like we mentioned, like, you don't need to know anything about Star Wars or see the other movies to have a great time with this movie. Like, it helps if you have to notice all the little details, but like it's just a fun movie. And what else? Oh yeah, the score is really good. John Powell.
John Powell comes in. He
so good.
He kind of brings like it's not as much Star Wars as the other movies feel. Like Michael Giacchino did Rogue One, and it still feels very Star Warsy.
Yeah, very John.
Which is good, and that's fine. But John Powell comes in, and he's like, "Hey, I got a chance here to make something a little different." With a movie that is a little different, right? There's only one lightsaber right at the end. It's like a heist movie about characters who aren't force sensitive. There's none of that going on, right?
Yeah.
And I guess Rogue One is also kind of a heist movie without Force-sensitive people involved. But,
Oh, that one guy's kind of Force-sensitive.
who?
I'm one with the Force, and the Force is with me.
Oh, I suppose Chirrut. Yeah, okay. Baseless. Argument rescinded.
Oh,
that's why it's so much worse. Solo
so much worse.
just has that fun factor. It feels like a summer blockbuster that anybody can enjoy, and it really sucks that, to me personally, I think it sucks that it didn't do very well at the box office.
Really poorly.
Because people were like, oh, this movie must be bad, and I'm not going to go see it. Or, I'm tired of Star Wars, they're making a movie every year.
Yeah.
And people were like, okay, I'm done with this.
And I think they made the right decision of kind of stepping away from the live-action movies after Rise of Skywalker and focusing more on their Disney Plus stuff. I think that's...
Yeah.
I think that was a good move for sure.
They took a break from the big budget movies to focus on more interesting stories like Solo was.
Yeah.
Because again, the critics like it, but it just didn't do well at the box office, and they were like, we can make something more interesting with new characters. So let's do The Mandalorian, because everybody loves Boba Fett and Jango Fett and that cool armor from the Clone Wars TV show, Shadow Clone Wars. Come on the podcast.
Yep.
So, that is Solo.
That's Solo.
It's good, it's fun. You don't need to care about the rest of Star Wars to like that movie. Let's talk
what you
about...
do need to care about is The Last
Jedi. Oh my
about.
gosh. The Last Jedi is number 3 for me, number 4 for Jordo.
Yep.
And it's number 4 for you because Rise of Skywalker ruined it, yes?
Yeah, more or less. I think it's kind of like I was saying earlier, just like the fact that when I watch The Last Jedi, I know that everything that happens in that movie is going to immediately be undone and turned around in the next movie. Makes it hard to watch, and just like, what is the point of this? What is the point of Rey finding out that her parents were just people? They weren't there. When The Last Jedi came out, guys, listen, when The Last Jedi came out, Rey's parents were nobody. She wasn't a Palpatine. They were not planning on making her a Palpatine. I guarantee you that was not the plan.
And I can guarantee you they weren't making her a Skywalker either.
Nope. They were nobody. That's the choice that Rian Johnson made. And the vision for his movie was to made her an interesting character, which I'll let you talk about more because I think you're very passionate about it.
Yes.
But yeah, that's the only reason it's below Solo for me, is because I don't have as much fun watching it anymore, which is sad.
It's very sad.
True.
I'm sorry to hear that for you.
Yeah.
I have only seen Rise of Skywalker once, so it still feels like it hasn't happened for me yet, which is a good thing, because then I can enjoy The Last Jedi even more. It's like, I have a shield.
It's the last movie. It honestly wraps up in a pretty good bow. Like, you don't really need a sequel to The Last Jedi.
Yeah, they kind of could keep it with a little bit of intrigue or mystery even.
Yeah.
But yeah, so The Last Jedi is the Star Wars movie that I hold the strongest opinions about. And I think that's true for almost everybody
of people
that care about this movie or hate this movie.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring up the two biggest gripes that a lot of people have with this movie, and just break them down and destroy them, and show you why this movie is good. Gosh. Actually, I have 3 that I can talk about.
Heck yeah.
So, first things first. Rey is perfect. She can't do anything wrong. You look at that and you hear that and you're like, oh, she's so amazing. And I guess that's more of a I keep calling it Phantom Menace. The Force Awakens problem. Yeah. So I'll avoid that one for now, I guess. We'll do the other ones.
People are like, oh, she knows how to fly? How does she know how to fly? Oh, she knows how to use a lightsaber? How does she know how to use a lightsaber?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
that's a smaller gripe, I guess, now with The Last Jedi, because she's gotten a little bit of training in the Force, so that's not as big of an issue. Side note, Octo is awesome, and I love how they have this moment where she learns about the Force, and she sees the dark and light and the balance, and it really comes to focus how little the Force cares about the light side versus the dark side. It wants to be in perfect balance. And this is so important to me because it's obvious that is actually how the will of the Force is, that it wants to move towards balance, equilibrium, homeostasis, whatever you want to call it. So you have, like, in the first trilogy, Palpatine and Vader are super strong, Obi-Wan and Yoda die, and then all of the light side of the Force is basically shoved into Luke Skywalker, and to a lesser extent, Ezra and Ahsoka, who I guess are also alive, whatever.
Yeah.
But basically all of the light side of the Force is diluted into Luke, and that's why he's able to beat the dark side, right?
Right.
And then in the second 3 movies, you have, I don't know, a million Jedi, thousands of Jedi, right?
Yeah.
And then you have Maul and Palpatine, and they have all of the dark side of the Force. And it gets a little bit diluted here and there with Grievous and Count Dooku and Asajj Ventress, but that's, it still doesn't matter because of the vast amount of Jedi that show up.
Right.
They're easily able to use more Force power because the Force wants to be in balance. So these are the dark side users. They're going to be able to have a greater strength and be able to counteract all of the Jedi. And then so here we are in the new trilogy, and we have in Last Jedi, it's Snoke and Kylo Ren versus Rey and Luke. And Luke for most of the movie isn't even tied to the Force at all, which I'll talk about later.
Right.
But Rey basically has all of the light side of the Force to her at her she can use it all. It's at her disposal is the word I'm looking for. Yeah. So she's able to combat emotionally. She uses words almost more than the Force or lightsaber fighting to manipulate Ben back to the light side almost, and at least to get rid of Snoke entirely. So there's that bit of balance that helps her be more powerful than anybody else, right? She's always been Force sensitive. She has more of the light side of the Force than any one person in the galaxy at this point. She's going to be able to do some cool stuff, like Jedi mind tricks, or pulling a lightsaber stronger than Kylo Ren. So,
because that's the point of the Force, right? Like in the first movie. I mean, in the first movie, Star Wars, Ben Kenobi, feel the Force, Luke, and Luke is able to harness the Force to do certain things. Like, that's what the Force does.
Yeah, no, exactly. Right.
So it's like, why are you guys mad about it?
So that's one argument I have. The next one is that Mark Hamill included people hate Luke's character in this movie. And it makes no sense to me that people don't like his character.
I can't understand it.
They're like, oh my gosh, he's such a wimp. Why would he abandon his duties? He's a Jedi. Why would he go back to this random place and be completely separate from the universe? Blah, 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 blah. And I guess... It's
not the character. It doesn't fit the character.
Yeah, or like people who read all the books see Luke as this like God-ranked, super giga mega powerful Jedi that can do everything. And
They're not canon, so...
Yeah, it's not canon, so it doesn't matter. Just another expectation subversion that Rian Johnson is able to pull off. It
services the story. Luke's character services the story so well, which I'm sure you're about to talk about.
Yeah. That's exactly my point. Luke was trained by 2 Jedi. Yes? Obi-Wan Kenobi
Yes.
and Yoda.
Yep.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, the first one we meet, failed to kill, I guess, was his plan, subjugate Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Keyword failed. Okay? They lost everything. Blah, blah, blah. Right? Episode 3. What does Obi-Wan Kenobi do? He goes to Tatooine, gives Luke away, and then sits on that planet in an old hut and does nothing for 20 years.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yoda failed to kill Palpatine, subjugate Palpatine, whatever. He failed. Okay? What did Yoda do? He goes to Dagobah, cuts himself off from the rest of the galaxy, and lives in a small hut in the middle of nowhere for 20 years.
Where's he going with this?
Luke Skywalker. Here we go. Luke Skywalker was trained by those two Jedi. They set an example, so to speak, for him.
They sure did.
He created a Jedi temple, tried to do his own thing, tried to expand the universe, blah, blah, blah. Uh-oh, he failed. He failed hard. He attempted to kill one of his younglings who was potentially being manipulated by the dark side of the Force, only to realize as soon as he ignited his lightsaber that he had forced Kylo to see that the dark side was better at the time for him. Right? Like, he can't trust anybody with the light side of the Force. They tried to kill him just because he has dark dreams.
Yeah.
Right? Failed. And then the rest of the Jedi Temple burned down, and he created the Knights of Ren. He stole some other kiddos, blah, blah, blah. What did Luke Skywalker do? Luke Skywalker ran to a random island, cut himself off from the rest of the galaxy, and in this case, even the Force, and lived in an old hut for 20 years. Now, tell me how that doesn't make sense.
I've never really put all those pieces together. But I think that's probably the best defense that I've heard. Because you're right. I mean, it makes complete sense, right?
It does.
Oh my gosh.
He was trained by two guys who failed and lived in huts, and then he failed and lived in huts. And the movie is about failure, and Yoda comes back to tell him about failure and how we learn from failure. And then, what did Obi-Wan do? He stopped sitting in a hut. He trained Luke. What did Yoda do? He stopped sitting in the hut and he trained Luke. What did Luke do? He stopped sitting in the hut and he trained Rey. Oh my gosh, you guys.
Oh,
he's the greatest.
Guys.
Man,
this movie rocks.
It's so good.
What are you talking about? It's such a good movie.
It really is. The final point I wanted to bring up before we move to the top two, just because I gotta keep talking. My biggest problem, and I think a lot of people's biggest problem with this movie, is Canto Bight and the casino scene, i.e. Finn and Rose.
Finn and Rose stuff.
I am not going to defend Canto Bight. I would like to posit a rewrite for you to better it. Or like... just to help further explain the flaws, because I don't think it's a perfect movie. It would be number one on my list if I thought it was perfect, but that's besides the point.
Because there are a couple perfect Star Wars movies.
There are a couple perfect ones. Finn is a child soldier, correct?
Yep.
He was stolen from people.
Stolen from his family.
And he was forced to be a stormtrooper. So, Poe Dameron is a fanatic rebel who has no problem sacrificing his bomber fleet to kill one ship. Rose is a random pipe cleaner. Shots fired, I guess. No shots fired to Kelly Marie Tran. She did the best with what she had, and she wasn't given much, sadly. So my rewrite here instead of Finn and or Poe staying on the ship and trying to make a coup, we have Finn and Poe go to Canto Bight. Every single thing is exactly the same. The script, everything is exactly the same, except Finn says all of Rose's lines, and Poe says all of Finn's lines. Yeah. Boom. The movie's fixed.
Because then Poe is the one who learns why war is bad.
Mm-hmm. And he learns it from the child soldier. Right? Perfect.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Rose doesn't need to tell the child soldier that war is bad. That's the main thing. And it's horrible that they did that. Rian Johnson,
come on the podcast.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one. Also,
why'd you do it, Ryan?
Why? You ruined my childhood, Ryan.
You want to kill my childhood, Ryan?
Gosh. Yeah, so that's a little rewrite that I would do. I'm sure that I'm not the only one that's thought of that, so if somebody else has thought about it and made a YouTube video with millions of views, shame on me for not having an original idea, I guess. But any final thoughts on Last Jedi before we get to our top 2?
I think we better get to it.
Okay.
Hop to it.
Right on. So
I'm interested to see what order you put them in.
Yes.
I don't know if
that is an interesting thought. I personally, let me open it up again because I don't have it anymore. My number 2 is Empire.
We agree.
We agree. Oh, wow.
What an interesting podcast.
We disagreed on a couple of these.
Yeah, we did.
But
yeah, dude. Number 2 is Empire, of course. Either one of them could be number 1.
And they really have gone back and forth for me.
Yeah, of course.
And I think we even talked about that when we were planning this. We're like, we got to make a list. I don't know which one is number 1.
They're both, I think, pretty much as perfect as you can get for Star Wars. Empire is one of my favorite movies for sure. It's one of the most iconic movies. I don't even know what can even be said about Empire. It's just so many people love it.
It's iconic.
It is iconic.
It's less George involved, for better or for worse.
Mostly for better.
Lawrence Kasdan coming in with the script. What a G.
Irvin
come on the
Kershner
podcast.
Directing.
Yes,
come on
big boy
podcast
Irvin.
If you're still alive.
Or even if you're not, who knows? That's right. We have a special antenna. It's a whole thing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Darth Vader is Luke's father. That's pretty cool.
Oh man,
how crazy is that, huh?
I do. Yeah, it's pretty incredible that George Lucas. I'm fairly certain that he made the first movie without that in mind.
He'll tell you he had all 6 movies planned.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, having Leia kiss Luke is enough for me to believe that he had no idea what he was doing.
Yeah, he didn't know what he was doing, but it worked out. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, there's so many iconic things in Empire. I mean, some of my favorite movie moments of all time. I mean, Luke training with Yoda bringing the X-Wing out of the lake.
Oh my gosh, that is my favorite moment in Star Wars.
Oh gosh, dude, it's so good.
The music comes in. He's talking about having him talk about the Force earlier and like being luminous beings and all that stuff is so like it makes that scene even better because he's just proving his point.
Yeah.
And
oh man, I don't even want to talk about the Rise of Skywalker anymore. I don't want to sour this experience. But I can't even describe the feeling I had when they tried to manufacture a Luke raises the X-Wing moment in Rise of Skywalker. You remember that? I mean, I can't describe the feeling I had when I was like, oh, they're gonna do it. There it goes, and just the pure, just anger. I felt just like, oh my gosh, they're doing this.
I remember the first time I watched it, I actually almost cried when they did that. And I was just not even like from actual sadness. It was like a happy cry because I was like, wow, they're like, it's such a character arc for Luke.
Yeah, right.
And I look back on it now and I'm like, yeah, that was pretty forced considering what he was dead in the last movie.
Right.
This is the first time that I have seen well, okay, no, it's not Last Jedi. It's Lightning Strike. Okay, never mind.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I was going to say it's the first time we see him move a physical object, but he's a Force ghost. And I've never seen that before. But, you know, who are we to complain about Force powers that have never been shown before? I'm not going to staunchly defend it, but I think Force healing is fine. Yeah, I don't really have a big problem with that. A lot of people hate that a ton. But that's not in this movie. It's in a much worse movie.
So much worse.
It really is
anyway,
bad.
Empire is one of the best movies ever made, for sure.
It'll probably show up in our top 10 movies if we get around to doing that as well.
Spoiler alert.
Whoa, my bad.
But yeah, for sure. I mean, and then, of course, number one, we can talk about both of these together, basically.
Yeah, it's like...
Star Wars, original Star Wars.
Star Wars A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back are... I mean, yeah, like we said, they kind of went back and forth on our list as the number one because they really are interchangeable for that number one spot because they are, like, beyond... Like, I can barely even put it into words how influential they are and how, like, they're shot on film and the physical or the effects are all practical and the writing is clean and concise but also like well paced and the editing is surprisingly good for older movies which are often not edited well and like it's on a shoestring budget and people were like this is experimental and new. Sci-fi really wasn't like a huge thing outside of Star Trek at the time. And it was still really popular. People hated Empire when it came out, which is why I thought people would come around to Last Jedi, but that just didn't happen.
Yeah, maybe eventually.
Yeah. And
I think the reason Star Wars is number one is Star Wars A New Hope is number one. It's the most Star Wars has ever been and probably will ever be. Right. It's just the purest form of what George Lucas created, and it's just so good.
It's the original vision. Whether it has all of the technological stuff he wanted or not.
Yeah.
He created an entire universe for these movies.
Yeah. Incredible.
Awe-inspiring. Shout out Star Wars. Come on the podcast.
Star Wars.
Wars.
It's kind of a hard note to end it on because it's just so... I mean, it was such an obvious ending to the to the ranking, but just like...
I mean, who doesn't have these two?
Star Wars is the best Star Wars movie, for sure. Yeah.
If you're some psychopath with Revenge on the Sith number one,
you're not invited on the podcast.
I'm not invited. Yeah,
you're invited on the podcast.
You can come, just not to talk about Star Wars.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I think we ranked them.
We really did. They're there on the screen for you to see.
Please put your ranking in the comments on this video, wherever you're watching, or on the podcast
YouTube,
feed.
Probably.
Send us an email, a text message. I don't know.
And if you are a
Reddit
blocker person, you know who you are. Feel free to come on the podcast sometime later.
Yeah, whenever you want, you can come on the podcast.
And you can come on the podcast. Tell us in advance what your favorite movie/TV show is, and we'll get around to it. And
and that invite kind of goes for anybody who's listening. If you're
that's true. Well, not everybody, but you know, people we know.
Talk about a movie.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about Moonknight before we
should
cut
talk
this
about
thing
Moonknight?
off? Oh my gosh.
Well, we should we're gonna talk about Moonknight while it's coming out. We watched the first episode. We'll try to keep recording episodes while
Yeah, as much as we
Moonknight is
can. If
happening.
nothing else, just to talk about Moonknight.
Yeah,
Because
we wanted to keep up to date on it. So I saw Moonknight. I thought it was great.
I thought it was really good.
We we held our reactions until now, but I mean, I thought it was really good. I mean, as far as Disney Plus MCU shows go, I think it is the best first episode of one of those for sure.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I haven't seen Hawkeye, to be fair.
Oh, but, really? Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think of the other shows in general?
I think Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier is better than WandaVision.
I agree.
But Loki is the best one.
I think that's a hot take. I think most people don't like Falcon and Winter Soldier for some reason.
Yeah. I like it for the same reason that I like Solo.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a fun, dumb show.
I think it's more character driven, which
that is true.
Like. But yeah, I can see that. I think Loki's really good. But yeah, as far as Moonknight goes, very strong first episode.
Very strong first episode. I like that it doesn't feel like a Marvel thing at all.
Yeah. If I didn't know, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it would just be a cool show with British Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
I have in my notes here.
He's so British. Good lord.
I have in my notes a British accent. That's what I wrote. I don't know if he is British or not, but I thought that British. At first, I was jarred. I was like, "Who is this?"
He's Latin American from somewhere.
Right?
But
yeah, I've seen him in a movie where he talks Spanish the whole time.
Yeah, his accent is just. I couldn't understand him at first. You kind of settle into it and you get used to it, but like at first I was like, "What is he saying?"
He does not sound like Poe Dameron.
Oh my goodness, so funny. He's just like, "Hello, Mom, I gotta feed my fish really quick.
I'm gonna feed the fish.
And then I gotta go be Moonknight."
But then he's got 2 fins later. I have here a quote from him. "Come on, you bloody cupcake van." I thought that was pretty funny, so I wrote that down for us.
Dude, if I had one complaint with this episode, that car chase scene has some of the worst CGI I've seen in a long time.
That was something else I was going to bring up, was the budget.
Oh my god.
Because I felt like there were some times where I was like, ugh.
What were they thinking putting that out? How it was.
Yeah, I was a little jarred by that, for sure.
It's like, oh my. It was just awful. I don't know how that happened. I think it was probably like, this is the first episode and we have some really crazy stuff coming up in the season, so we got to save our budget.
Sure.
Oh my gosh.
I thought the random Egyptian god guy looked pretty good though.
Yeah, all the other stuff I thought was fine, but yeah, the car chase, and it was in broad daylight, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, that's true.
But something I appreciated about it was it felt very practical and on location, which is something I can't say about other recent MCU projects. Cough cough, Spider-Man: Far From Home. No Way Home. It's No Way Home.
Yeah.
Oh man, we need to do a podcast about No Way Home because I have a lot
We should rank all the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, I have a lot of things to say about No Way Home.
Interesting.
But anyway, I really liked Moonknight.
The first time I was writing my notes as I was watching it. And so I put on here that the gaps in memory are edited very well. And I think that's true throughout the whole episode.
Yeah.
I also wrote that I never wanted to see the other half. I wanted this entire show to be gaps in Steven's memory, where he just wakes up in this random place having killed somebody.
Having done something terrible.
Yeah, I thought that would be such an interesting way to tell a story, where there's all these gaps in the main characters and our own memory. But I understand that that's not whatever we're trying to make here. Yeah. But it was cool for the first half of the episode.
Yeah.
For sure.
They utilized it really well.
And I don't know about you, but I know nothing about this character.
Right, me neither.
And I don't really even know anything about Egyptian lore or like deities.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to learn more than anything.
All I know about Egyptian gods and stuff is from Stargate SG-1.
Oh.
All the
sun god Ra.
Sun god Ra and all that stuff. Shout out to our dads.
Yeah.
Dan James, come on the podcast.
Dan James, come on the podcast. Talk about World War II movies or something. I don't know.
As if they're going to listen to this.
Oh, they're going to listen. We'll make them listen. I'll watch it in front of them.
But yeah, I think, Moon Knight's good. I can't wait to see the next episode. We'll fill you guys in what we think.
Mm-hmm. I liked the cult enemy. I think that's a cool way to do it, where there's like the cult leader, but it feels like there's gonna always be someone behind his back.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see where it goes. We don't have a fully formed opinions on it or anything. It's the first episode. Yeah. We're full of hope. We'll see. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully Obi-Wan Kenobi is good.
Oh, I hope it is.
So
it looks pretty good, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
I have no reason to think it wouldn't be good.
Yeah, I just fear that it's bad for no reason.
I do fear that as well.
And I also fear that my expectations are going to be higher than whatever they could possibly produce.
Yeah.
So, you were saying something about the glorious Ewan McGregor?
He's great. He's glorious. He's perfect in most every way.
He's got good hair.
He's got really good hair. Nice voice.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, we should probably wrap this up, I'd say.
We probably should.
I really hope we have been recording this whole time.
We have been recording this whole time for 1 hour and 24 minutes.
Hey, that's not bad. That's a podcast.
That's a pretty solid first episode, I would say.
It's a pretty solid podcast, I think.
I'm a little tired because we did this twice, but that's okay.
Next time we'll do it once, and it'll be great.
We'll do it once, whether it's good or bad. What would you want to talk about next time? Do you have any teasers?
Oh, yeah, we were talking about... Well, next time we'll definitely cover the next episode of Moonknight.
Mm-hmm.
Watch that with us, please. Discuss in the comments section. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll talk about Moonknight, and I think we should do the Batman movies. I think we should force ourselves to watch the old Batman movies
and just have a Batman ranking.
And that'll give us an excuse
all of the major series.
Yeah, that'll give us an excuse to gush about The Batman 2022 starring Robert Pattinson.
Something's in the way.
Spoiler for my top 10 movies whenever we get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that too.
It's on there.
Oh, it is? It was on there for me, but I think I moved it off.
We'll see. If it might be recency bias, I don't know, but we'll find out.
You just gotta keep thinking about movies.
I've seen it 4 times, so I feel like I have a pretty good idea.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right. You want to wrap it up?
Thank you guys so much for listening. Eventually, you'll be able to watch as well. With our beautiful faces.
Batty Bo Batty.
Our Batty Bo Batty desktop will be able to run more than one program at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is an exciting, fun thing for us. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, because genuinely, I had a good time, Jordan.
I had a great time, dude.
And
I'm excited that we're doing this.
If nothing else, it's a good excuse for us to stick together.
That's right.
Living halfway across the country from one another.
We are notoriously bad at staying in touch when we're not together in person. So
it really is bad.
Yeah. We're adults now, so we have to actually.
Yeah, our parents aren't going to do it for us.
To talk to each other, so our parents don't take us on vacation to see each other anymore. So, we got to start a podcast. That's what you guys made us do.
Yep. And if you're listening, shame on you for not having a
we love
Christmas.
You guys.
No, just kidding. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As I said, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.
Quarter Twins.
Quarter Twins. Outro music.
Damn.
Goodbye.
Something's in the way. Copyright issue. Yeah,